I want to cover a couple stories here on Depraved and Debaucherous on this episode. First, about political correctness. Now, for those of you who are going to be listening to this episode, you hear those two words and your political intuition just perks right up. Listen, I'm apolitical. All I'm saying is this is across the board, okay? Whether somebody is politically correct or politically incorrect, I think it goes the same way. It can lead to cognitive exhaustion. You know why? Because I was kind of politically playing around that game and listening to that and watching all the stuff going on, especially with the election stuff, and watching all the news channels and all. You know what? New research says it's leading to cognitive exhaustion. So your brain is basically tired of it. You're just getting worn out. New findings published in the Journal of Applied Psychology. People are motivated to be politically correct out of a sense of kindness and consideration for their coworkers, but being politically correct can also lead to mental fatigue. Yeah, when you have to go and think about, you don't want to offend somebody, you need to make sure that you are always aware of somebody's feelings, of who they are, which I really believe is very performative in many different cases. Just saying. Because political correctness is a form of performative expression. It's not sincere. It can be very well hypocritical, and it can be very well, sanctimonious at the same time. But then also, those that are calling out that political correctness, that, I would have to think of the same research, also leads to cognitive exhaustion. That you need to realize that by being in that political sphere and calling out everything that's going on, what if it came from our side, from this person, right? You always hear it's always one way or the other. Okay, so this group of people say this and this, but you know what? If our group of people ever said this, you hear that crap all the time. And then people are easily triggered to go ahead and have to make a comment about something. Just because it's now we're offended, we're triggered. So the people that are supposed to be, you trigger certain people, but then the other side gets triggered too. Do you realize that? And then when people get triggered about, look, this bill's going to be talked about and hasn't been passed yet. What are you talking about? This is a proposal. That's all it is a proposal. So what? Worry about it if there's actually going to be a chance it's going to pass. Okay, if that's really what you want to care about. And when people see a story, this person was this particular political stance and they got shot, or this person got hurt, or this and that, or this goes against a political narrative. And it's a story you have no attachment to whatsoever. But because it fits a political narrative on whichever side, you decide to go ahead and talk about it. Man, that stuff gets old. Does anybody else that listens to this program feel the same way? That you just get really fed up and tired of hearing that? So in the study they talk about that, all these types of conservations may require what we label as workplace political correctness, which reflects a level of sensitivity towards or tolerance of others and a willingness to modify or suppress either words or actions accordingly. The only people on the topic of which we are aware of comes to this conclusion as well. So they say that political correctness during the day in turn was linked to greater cognitive resource depletion. I feel drained right now. In the evening, and higher levels of cognitive resource depletion was linked to partners being more likely to report that employees were angry and withdrawn at home. Let me tell you something. One of the things that I heard from a guy I was working with at Channel 25, I'm going to call out his name. Maybe he'll probably never hear this, but Rodney Akins. If you're listening to this program right now, my friend, I will tell you this. You always told me the first day I worked at Channel 25, the TV station and ABC affiliate in West Palm Beach. You said after I had a rough day that first day of work, full time, whatever you do, whatever kind of stress, anxiety, tension, whatever there is, don't bring it home. Leave it at the door. Leave it at the door. Don't take it with you. Don't take it home. And I'll tell you, that's one of the best pieces of advice I ever had in my life. It's true. And it was tough to go ahead and take that lesson, but I remember it vividly, and it still holds up today. Same thing here. Political correctness, because now that we have this going on, because the company feels a need to do this, to instill some kind of political correctness, or there's just some people that are taking advantage of the political correctness issue, just to go ahead and stir up, because there's people that are in mid-level positions of power that say, well, we're going to do this because they're going to make your life miserable, because if they can use this to get you fired or to get you suspended or to get you penalized, they're going to do it. Because some people just don't care. And students in the political correctness condition have tended to have higher reaction times or higher levels of cognitive resource depletion. So especially if you're on a college campus and you're dealing with political correctness, if you're like with some different society of Democrats, Republicans, whatever, Green Party, I don't care, Communist Party, it doesn't matter, that you're going to feel like you're getting drained when you could be using your mind and you could be using yourself for much more important things. So keep that in mind. One other story I want to bring up here, lovers who lower our self-esteem. This is not related, but I thought I'd just drop it here. Because of people that are drawn to people who make us feel bad about who we are. I thought this was relatable because of the fact they say that people may be attracted to someone who makes them feel deficient because they find their other desirable qualities in the person. Sometimes enamoredness motivates people to try to appear to be the person the other wants them to be, forgetting themselves in the process. Which, you know, when you look about political correctness, or you think somebody has a particular political slant, you need to go ahead and be this certain kind of person. And then you're bringing down your self-esteem because you're not getting to be who you are. You're kind of uncomfortable having to conform into somebody that you're not. And then sometimes they think they don't deserve happiness and fear something bad will happen to them if they don't get something they don't deserve. Things like that come across. I thought that was a kind of a good correlation. Political correctness is making people feel drained. It's hurting people's emotions. So don't get yourself caught up in it as much as you can. I mean, sure, things are tough all over, but to play into that whole part would suck. But a lot of people are, especially if you're older. Cut it out. It would be healthier for you. I know I did that New Year's resolution 2 years ago to cut out TV news from me and basically all political talk. One of the best decisions I ever made. I feel so much better. So less anxious as well. It's a wonderful thing. You know, one thing we can necessarily relate with as well, those that are politically correct, they're very politically driven. You know, something about them with being corrupt and power and control. You know what they are? They're a little depraved and debaucherous.